Ladies gents, welcome to G-Reaction. This is the most terrifying medicine ever sold. That's all good enough. Yes, it's a good enough video. I guess it's been a while. I don't know when I did the last one. But it's a Salmonella type channel. And I like this title. Most terrifying medicines. I like science, as you already know. I like medical science, how much we progress throughout the years and centuries. But there have been, let's just say, times where people use medicine that is like a really no-no type of situation today. Like top grade banned drugs that were used for coughs and other type of like simple things. It's like over the counter. These drugs were over the counter apparently. So I don't know, I guess the number 10 says magical rings. I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to be. But it's gonna be interesting. Let's do it.
Kimball's anti-rheumatic ring was one of the most popular items sold. Let's start with the worthless and slowly work our way towards the most terrifying ones on the list. Number 10. Magical rings. Kimball's anti-rheumatic ring was one of the most popular items sold by quack doctors from 1883 to around 1910. The ring was advertised to cure many ailments and diseases by quickening the circulation of blood and dissolving acid crystals in the body, which were believed to cause illness. Now, equipping a ring and expecting it to give you +5 vitality is just ridiculous. If they had only equipped a rabbit's foot, they might have actually found something useful. Quack doctors even claimed that it was the same ring that the royal family wore to stay healthy. The magical ring sold so well in the US and the UK that many other rings began to be sold claiming to cure anything under the sun. Of course, the ring was nothing special and was nothing more than a placebo. Number 9. Snake oil. Snake oil.
Alright. Because of astrology today, I think it's astrology, it's the same thing I'm guessing. People wear, different gems, topaz, garnet, and things like that, thinking it will have effect. I think garnet's supposed to be Jupiter influenced or something. I don't know, but yeah, something like that. Like they wear like this kind of a fucking thing, so it will have effect on them. Even today, this shit is happening. Like, are you kidding me? This is like, how modern can you get? Like even with the internet, not just internet. Nowadays, if you Google it, AI will give you the whole essay on shit. You won't be just like, oh, okay, let Google handle some website. Maybe it will give you some website that helps you. No, AI literally like summarizes all website that is helpful and give you the first page account of something and tells you, no, this is bullshit. Even then, people are still like, oh, I'm gonna try out these different gems. This is happening today, let alone back then.
Oil gained popularity in the US during the mid-1800s, when Chinese laborers were spotted rubbing the oil on their bodies during the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. And once Americans tried the traditional Chinese medicine for themselves, word of the magical medicine quickly spread throughout the country. The oil was made from the fat of the Chinese water snake, a snake native to Asia, and thanks to its high content of omega-3 fatty acids, it worked well as an anti-inflammatory. But as snake oil's popularity skyrocketed, supplies could not meet demand. So a man named Clark Stanley began mass-producing snake oil, but instead used the fat of rattlesnakes since it was widely available. He traveled the US on his wagon selling the oil as a cure-all magical elixir, claiming that it would instantly cure pains, aches, sprains, swelling, bruises, sore throat, frostbite, animal bites, and of course, numerous diseases. But by the time the unlucky buyer realized that the oil was nothing more than a scam, quack doctors like Stanley had already moved on to the next town. But here's the crazy part. Clark Stanley was so successful in selling his snake oil that he began to mass produce the oil in many factories throughout the country, selling it in stores and in catalogs, making him incredibly wealthy. And after selling his oil for over 20 years, in 1917, the Bureau of Chemistry discovered that Stanley's snake oil didn't actually contain any snake oil at all, and the infamous term snake oil salesman was born. Number 8. Mummy powder. Perhaps
Really? Back then? Even 1970 feels like kind of recent. But yeah, by then, like, what the fuck? There's no oil. I mean, when there was no regulation like that, of course people are gonna like, oh, it's oil. Trust me, bro. That's what that was. Always trust me. Imagine that shit, right? Like you're a snake oil man, right? Like the saying goes. You go from town to town. We become so successful, you streamline that shit. You make that in factories. I'm guessing your people instead of you who goes town to town, so it's more like you can reach more places. He created a proper organization based on that shit. That's insane.
Perhaps one of the most disturbing items ever sold by quack doctors was mumia, better known as mummy powder. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Mumia is a fine powder made from the ground up remains of mummies. It was used as a form of medicine from the 12th to the 18th century and was widely popular in European countries. Quack doctors sold this as a cure-all medicine, claiming it could act as a blood thinner, painkiller, cough suppressant, anti-inflammatory, cure diseases, aid in wound healing, or really just about anything as long as
See, same shit today in a certain way. When you think about like, look, I'm all about organic and natural shit. I'm all about that. Whenever people hear about, oh, this is a natural thing, or this is a natural herb, this is an organic herb, and you find the list below, like how much it can help. It will have everything from cancer to cough to fucking everything. Oh, that's how good this organic medicine is. Really? 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 Is that the case? Right? Why would we need modern medicine if that's the case? So, similarity like that happen all the time. Whenever I hear like that, yeah, I guess that's bullshit. Maybe it has some effect on it. Maybe. Really? Mummy remains gonna help. I guess it will help with all that. When you're dead, you don't have any diseases, so maybe there's that.
it got to sell. But here's the terrifying part. The most common way that mummy powder was used was to actually eat it. Either by mixing it with water, wine, or food, or by simply eating it raw. Mumia became so popular that the supplies of mummies in Egypt began to run extremely low. So Egyptians began to scam Europeans by selling them ground up remains of people who had recently died and passing it off as mummy powder. It wouldn't be until the 18th century that physicians realized that the powder was completely useless and dangerous, which finally led to its discontinuation. Number 7. Dr. Kilmer's swamp root. Dr. Kilmer was an infamous quack doctor who sold his uncle's miracle cure known as Dr. Kilmer's swamp root from 1878 to 1906. The miracle elixir was sold as a cure for many ailments related to the kidneys, liver, and bladder. Oh, and for some reason, it also cured hangovers. The miracle elixir was heavily advertised in newspapers and magazines, but the best tactic used was when Dr. Kilmer encouraged consumers to mail in their urine for a free medical analysis, resulted in the majority of people being diagnosed with an ailment that could only be cured with Dr. Kilmer's swamp root. Swamp root became so popular in the United States that it would become a common household name, making Dr. Kilmer a multi-millionaire. On one occasion, Dr.
Okay. There was this, like just a century ago, there was a time when medicine was barely anything. Like medical science was not even close to like how like quantum mechanics and everything is today. That's how medicine was in that scale. Like we didn't know much about it. People barely had some like, okay, here's a penicillin like antibiotic maybe. What is the actual concentration of that? Yeah, like we don't have that kind of like a surgical equipment yet. Okay, most things were like herbs type of shit. And people like this, like always, there were always some snake ointment like that. Oh, here's a new herb that will help you. And people had to wing it. Maybe it will help, maybe it won't. That was just a century ago, man. And since then, like, people like on Joe Rogan and everybody bitch about, oh, okay, antibiotics are broad spectrum. Yeah, that's better than 99% of all things that have been in the past thousands of years. Right now, you can have complex diseases. And like, you can get 2 antibiotics, stay in your home for 15 days, take that. Basic antibiotics like, like whatever, Z-Pak, azithromycin and shit like that, right? Basic, antibiotics, you can take that and you'll be fine. Before your chance of dying was like really high, 50%, right? Or typhoid, cholera, shit like that. This medicine, you can just sit at your home, just hydrate and drink these antibiotics and you're fine. And people are bitch about, oh, it's broad spectrum, which means it destroys everything. Yeah, because we don't have any more surgical than that. But this is a big ass win. Before, people were winging it. People didn't know shit.
Kilmer was asked what swamp root was good for, to which he replied, making $1 million a year. It was later discovered that the ingredients in swamp root were just alcohol mixed with herbs and spices, which is quite ironic, since the miracle medicine was meant to improve your life, not cause you to get into an argument with your wife, storm out of the house, angrily drive away in the car, get pulled over, obviously let go, argue with your wife some more, and angrily state that you can stop drinking swamp root whenever you'd like. Only for the children woken from their sleep to walk in. Realizing this, you go for a hug to comfort them, but they flinch in fear and run to their mom, as she yells once more, telling you that you are ruining the family as she storms off upstairs with the children, which of course leaves you feeling horrible and ashamed. a feeling that could only be cured with swamp root. Number 6.
If that, right? A lot of instances, usually people lash out. Kids don't know shit, like, yeah, go to your room. So it's worse for the kids, right? This is like, in this condition, this is the best case scenario. It could get much worse.
Asthma cigarettes. Asthma cigarettes were a popular remedy sold primarily in Europe and the US from the early 1800s to the 1950s. They were sold by merchants and quack
Asthma
doctors
cigarettes,
and were advertised as an effective treatment for any respiratory ailments. This included all diseases relating to the throat and lungs, asthma, hay fever, the common cold, and even getting rid of bad breath. Now, the truly terrifying part was the ingredients inside the cigarettes. They commonly contain belladonna and stramonium, two highly toxic and poisonous plants that were believed to relax the airways. The truth was that smoking the cigarettes could lead to many respiratory conditions and often cause confusion, delirium, and hallucinations. Now, thankfully, smoking these cigarettes during an asthma attack did provide some relief. Well, at least through the eyes of the smoker. Number 5. Coca remedies. There were many miracle elixirs, tonics, and medicines that claimed to cure many ailments and diseases, where the main ingredient was cocaine. So let's take a look at some of the most popular ones that were sold by quack doctors, beginning with toothache drops. These miracle drops claim to be an instantaneous cure for toothaches in adults and children.
I mean, it's gonna be instantaneous, let's give them that. It's gonna be instantaneous.
Which of course was very effective, but eventually required more and more drops to get the same effect. Then there were Allen's tablet.
No shit, it requires more and more. I mean, that wouldn't be a problem, would it?
It's a remedy that claimed to instantaneously cure head and chest congestion. But the best part was that it was advertised to cure nervousness and sleeplessness. Not by allowing you to sleep, but by making you forget about sleep altogether. Vin Mariani Coca wine. This one was so popular that it was even endorsed by Pope Leo XIII, who was known to carry a small flask of the wine on him. He's also the most productive pope of all time. So there's that. Then of course, we can't move on without talking about Coca-Cola. Originally marketed as a medical tonic and advertised as a remedy for various ailments, such as headaches, exhaustion, and anxiety. Number 4. Opium medicine. Just like the last entry on the list, there are way too many medicines.
I mean, yeah, if you can get to Coca-Cola level shit, opium is one of the most like common drugs of the past like that. So it makes sense they would use that as a medicine, why not?
That were sold to list here, so I'll just cover the most popular ones. Beginning with the self-proclaimed most powerful medicine ever discovered for colds, Dr. Bateman's pectoral drops. These were a popular medicine advertised to cure ailments related to the chest or lungs, such as colds, coughs, and bronchitis. The main ingredient here was opium, a strong, dangerous, and highly addictive sedative. Then there was Miss Winslow's soothing syrup, a medicine that was sold as a remedy for sleepless children and those suffering from toothaches, giving little Tommy a great night's sleep. Or probably a little Chucky doll if he didn't get his syrup. Godfrey's cordial was another medicine sold for restless children and toddlers. This medicine was so popular and widely abused that mothers would give it to their children to put them to sleep, allowing them to work uninterrupted. Now, the sad part is that throughout the years, this medicine actually killed many children due to its high opium content. Laudanum was yet another miracle elixir said to cure various ailments, including pain, coughs, insomnia, and teething infants, and was sold by many companies, making it very cheap and widely available. Sold from the 16th through the 20th century, it claimed and ruined many lives due to addiction and overdoses. Number 3. Arsenic.
Yeah, I could say a lot of things about this, but I don't know if I should because YouTube is that picky. Let's just say that drug, that thing is like pain related, right? All the modern pain things are related to that. So when you take pain things, you get like delirious, you know, not delirious, what do you call, like you get sleepy, drowsiness, right? That is one of the symptoms. So I guess it made sense in that way. Like if some kid can't sleep, it will induce drowsiness, sure. But yeah, in the end of the day, it's the same family tree as like everything else, like, you know, the pain thing. And that can get abused a lot, obviously. At the time, obviously, they didn't know it, but yeah, it kind of makes sense. And antihistamines, right? These are the thing that suppresses your system that has this allergic reaction, like coughing, sneezing, If your like skin starts to get red, these are all like histamine responses. So if you take antihistamines, this will all stop. So I'm guessing these things had similar effect in that way because of the drowsiness element, right? But usually in your body, whenever some systems are similar, they are usually connected. So I guess in that way it worked. But yeah, the cons were much heavier than the pros.
Products. Today, we all know that arsenic is highly toxic and can lead to arsenic poisoning. But before this was widely known, quack doctors sold many cosmetic products that contained high levels of arsenic. So let's take a look at two of the most popular ones. Arsenic soap was advertised to give anyone the perfect skin complexion and quickly fix and cure any unfavorable skin conditions, including acne and psoriasis. Arsenic
Don't mind the
wafers were
Spider-Man
another
there.
product advertised to lighten skin color and give clear and beautiful skin, free of pimples, freckles, and imperfections. Now, the reason why these products were so dangerous was due to the very slow poisoning effects of arsenic. You see, symptoms appeared and worsened over time. The process could take months or even years, leaving the person confused and uncertain about what is causing their symptoms. In many cases, this eventually led to a range of health issues like organ damage, neurological problems, and increased risk of cancer. Number 2, mercury.
Yeah, organ damage kind of, yeah, brain is also organ, yeah. So every type of damage inside, and obviously cancer, why the fuck not throw that, sprinkle that in as well. Of course that's going to be issue. And before, let's just say lab testing, anything lab related, people just winged it. Just imagine that, how frightening that is. Like nowadays, you lead, oh, arsenic, oh, hell no. And all this lab testing happens left and right, like too many organizations that checks all this shit. Barely, very small doses kind of like slips through, and people just like cry bitch about it, like makes a headline and everything. With so small amount, that's probably not going to do nothing to you. But back then nobody knew anything. They just ate all this shit like arsenic. Why not? It's insane.
Products. Calomel is a white, odorless solid that contains mercury, a highly toxic metal for humans. It was advertised as a miracle cure from the 16th through the 20th century. There were many products that used calomel, so I'll just cover the most popular ones. Dr. Livingston's Rousers were a pill mixture containing calomel, marketed and sold for 40 years as a preventative and cure for malaria. And to be fair, it was quite effective against malaria, but also very toxic. Steedman's soothing powder was a very popular medicine that was given to babies who were teething. It worked quickly to stop babies from crying, since it was poisoning them. Prolonged use led to severe forms of mercury poisoning, which could lead to pink disease, slow development, and nerve damage. But in severe cases, it was outright fatal. Blue Mass was a mercury tablet advertised to treat a variety of conditions, including constipation, depression, and tuberculosis. It is well known that President Abraham Lincoln would regularly take these pills, which could explain his outbursts of anger, insomnia, and tremors, all signs of mercury poisoning. Then there were calomel pills, another miracle product that was very similar to Blue Mass, just marketed to cure liver problems, syphilis, and digestive issues. Of course, like Blue Mass, it had zero benefits and only caused mercury poisoning or worse. Number 1, radioactive products. The deadliest and most terrifying miracle medicine ever sold has to be radioactive water. Radium water was all the hype in 1924 through 1930.
Radium, oh shit, of course. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What radioactive? Like what, the uranium or something? Come on, back. No, radium, yeah, that makes sense. People have radium on like tattoos and shit nowadays as well, like temporary tattoos and shit that glows. I don't like that shit either. It doesn't have that much amount to maybe do nothing. But yeah, it's radium. I'm not gonna touch that shit. People, like in watches and everything, there's radium inside. Again, it's probably not gonna do nothing because not that much amount. I don't like that shit.
Over 400,000 bottles. Sellers claimed that the deadly water could cure all sorts of ailments, including arthritis, flatulence, and get this, poisoning. Now, the most famous and disturbing case related to this product
Only way to stop poisoning is to poison you with other thing, yeah.
Involved a man named Eben Byers, a wealthy industrialist who regularly consumed the radioactive water. But after consuming it for several years, in 1930, he began to lose his teeth. Soon, his jaw began to disintegrate and holes formed on his skull. And in 1932, he finally died from radiation poisoning, a slow and painful process. But here's where things get even darker.
Yeah, radiation poisoning, your limbs fall out, oh my god.
Radioactive water was not the only deadly product on the market. There were radioactive suppositories, which of course were administered through a person's back door. Then there were radium tablets, which were radioactive advertised to give Superman powers. Yep, that one would have got me.
Yeah, seriously, I was about to say the first guy. Oh, he didn't turn into Hulk, but no, this is the Hulk one. Yeah, you'll turn into Hulk if you do this.
Then there were dozens of cosmetic products that were incredibly deadly, from radioactive toothpaste, face creams, lipsticks, and powders. But after many decades on the market, around 1950s, countries began to regulate these deadly products and discontinue them. I guess in the end, it turns out that humans will try just about anything in our endless search for health and beauty. Anything but actually going to the gym.
Alright, seriously, man. Understand trying to cure a disease or something, but beautification, trying to rig shit, I don't understand still today. Like, who gives a fuck? Aesthetics, screw that, I don't care. People nowadays like have surgeries and push it inside. Like, some of the things are fine. A lot of the things are like new. We don't know the long-term effect of it, and people still do that shit. Like, okay, I don't know, man. This is just insane. Like, back then, people didn't know anything, right? I can't blame people for like using this without knowing. Like, how they're supposed to know like what a radiation is? Like, nukes wasn't even a thing still yet here, right? So, what is a radiation? People didn't even process that properly. Like, only scientists probably knew. Even they were winging it. There are no tools to actually do any kind of research. And all the hard drugs and everything. This is just fucked up, man. This is why I appreciate modern medicine. And people, I guess most people do, but the loudest people who go to podcasts and shit, they have the biggest voice, and it gives this feeling like people don't appreciate it. Like, without the modern medicine, broad spectrum antibiotics, most people are screwed. People need to realize like how big of a victory that is. Alright, well, if you like my next one, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.